embrace that thank you, that well done, because we have achieved something. But when we don't feel like we deserve even that thank you because we are angry, we're trying to beat ourselves up, we don't appreciate our achievements. Yeah, I think that's a way to summarize what
Thank you.
it's
I
about.
really like I like what you are saying, and this is also bringing me to when it comes to mental health. Where anytime we see someone who might struggle with what this idea of being perfect that might show up for the child, for example, I can use an example. If let's say if there was an adult, it could be a parent or somebody who has played a big role in the upbringing of a child. It could be a teacher or another role model who was very strict, who did not let the child fail, or who did not teach the child that it's okay to fail, that can definitely bring a lot of anxiety in adulthood because if you learned that it's not okay to fail, you are not going to try unless you know you're going to succeed. And we know that most successful people, people who are able to achieve things, to get to certain goals, they try 100 things and they are able to succeed in 15 of them, right? If you are not able to try because of this anxiety, of this fear that you might not be achieved to the perfection, you are not going to try, period. And this is something that is usually taught in a childhood. So for anybody who has probably been through this and who see themselves with this idea of the fear around trying something, it might have started from that. Definitely good positive self-talk therapy can help. Even knowing that you might have this can help. Or if there is a parent who is raising children who might hear this, the idea, yes, it's good to expect very good things from our children, but the way we communicate to them is very, very, very important, because you might mean something. They might not know the idea that you love them no matter what. They might always believe that unless they got this 100 on a test, they won't be good enough. And that's something that can definitely play a very negative impact in adulthood, in the fear of trying. And then usually you don't get far unless you are okay with trying.
Hello everyone. It's us here, Imelda and Bedet. Bedet, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Great, great, great day and great things that we are bringing.
Yes.
What are we bringing today again?
Today we have a fantastic topic. We are going to talk about imposter syndrome. I think
Excellent.
this is some,
The syndrome.
yes.
Believe me, guys, it's gonna be amazing. Again, to the new to the new viewers, please subscribe. That's the greatest support you can ever offer to us here on Inspire. So we are going to look at imposter syndrome. Yeah, like Bedet just mentioned, what is imposter syndrome?
So imposter syndrome, it's this feeling of inadequacy. Usually it happens to people who are doing something that might be perceived as something big, something that requires courage. This is
Yeah.
something, it's a feeling people get when they feel like fraud, they feel like they don't belong. So that's what's your take on imposter syndrome, Emerta?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's definitely that self doubt that people have in themselves when they don't feel that sense of belonging, that sense of deserving something, when they think that all good things belong to other people but not them. So I think that's what it really should mean. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a very good way to put it. I remember when I was reading more about this, I remember reading about famous people, an example of them being Oprah Winfrey, that sometimes she got this feeling, she has this feeling that she doesn't, she's not good enough. Meanwhile, a lot of people look up to her, but she does have this feeling of really being fake. Am I fake? Am I real? Do I deserve to be here? Am I going to do? Again, the definition given to imposter syndrome can even be real to a lot of people that we see as high achiever. But usually when they know already, they can definitely, I'm sure by now she has a very good way of dealing with that.
Yeah, when I just see it as like when you see when like seeing yourself as a grown up, but then you have that mindset of like a 4 year old, like oh, I don't think I can drive a car. I don't, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do that. Of course, you can't because your age maybe does not allow you to drive that car at that time, but you will because someone else was a child also someone was at your age at some point, and they managed to do what they're doing when they are ready to do it. But sometimes we tend to see ourselves like we don't deserve or we cannot. Just imagine like going to getting a new job, you qualified, you got the job, but you're in a new environment. So those fears, the anxiety,
Mhm.
but also feeling that, oh, I don't think I'm good enough in this place. Maybe I came here by chance or by accident. I don't
Yeah.
think I can do. I think like when you see everybody's overly qualified, you see yourself lower and not able to achieve what others are achieving. I don't know. Again, what do you think that has a connection with like with mental health when we think that way, which I believe most of us do?
Uh, you made a very good point in giving an example of how even as an adult you might feel like a 4-year-old might feel when it comes to doing something that, yes, a 4-year-old cannot do that, but an adult who is prepared can do that. We're talking about driving a car for someone who might continue to have this fear. Am I ever going to be able to do that? And when it comes to the mental health, really, this will, probably bring me to a question I also wanted to ask as well. Usually, things that happen during childhood, or things that might have to do with a culture, it might have to do with the words you were told, what you were told growing up. It might have to do with a lot of things that might contribute to these feelings. And when it comes to the anxiety is usually around fear about the future. What could happen if I try? I won't be able to do that. If I fail, people will laugh at me. There is a lot of things that could happen. I don't want to be specific because it could show up differently with different people, but it all has to do with our thoughts. And usually the thoughts comes from the core beliefs, and the core beliefs usually develop at a young age. At a young age, that child, that 4-year-old, maybe at some point they were told that it's not okay to fail, or they were told that if they will never be able to achieve certain things. Definitely mental health can play a big part in this. So
Yeah,
what
you okay? You go on, go on.
I was going to ask you a question in terms of, what do you think in terms of this idea that maybe culture might contribute to this?
Yes, I strongly believe that culture has something to do with how we feel, how we perceive about ourselves, what we were told at an early age. There are some cultures that tell their children probably. For example, you just mentioned it probably. There are some countries where competition is everything, where you have to achieve higher grades. So when a child does not attain that level of satisfaction, actually trying to satisfy their parents with the grades that they want, they feel like they are not good enough, they are not worth being there. So I think culture has something to do. Again, there's that culture where children are told bad things all the time about themselves, about maybe their look, about their body shape, about their performance, about whatever. Those things that, because I recently had someone saying that whatever we hear, whatever we see, whatever we smell is stored in our brain, which could come out maybe at a later age, either coming as a good thing or bad thing on us. So what we hear when we are kids, at our childhood, you know, we that those things can have a significant impact in our lives, whether good or bad. So those are cultural things. Again, there's some culture that take children in a certain ways, others take them in a certain way. So at an early age, for example, if you are told that you are a girl, you will never achieve certain things in life because of your gender. That could be a culture that will make you feel inferior, even if you are in an environment that allows you to actually be who you are supposed to be, who you are created to be. But that feeling, those words that you heard when you are a child, could have an impact on your life, could limit you to achieve certain things, or even if you happen to achieve them, could make you feel like doubting yourself, like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think they checked well to give it to me. I don't think I belong here. I don't think I deserved this because of what I was told when I was a child. Does that really
That's a very
make
good.
any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. As you're talking about this, I am thinking about something else very, very similar to what we are talking about, that is also
Yeah.
shaped by the relationship in the past, that is also
Mhm.
shaped by the experiences we go through in our past. Yes, we are
Yeah.
talking about imposter syndrome, which is this feeling of inadequacy, even if you have all the examples that show you otherwise. Something else that could
Mhm.
also really play a big role in this, that is also affected by what you just said, it's self-esteem.
Mhm.
Self-esteem really, it's also shaped early on. It has to do with the past experiences. It has to do with what you tell yourself when it comes to what you have experienced in the past or what you believe to be true. I think I was just thinking about that as we were giving an example of how the culture can definitely play a big impact. So you did talk about what could happen in a culture, family. Something else I would like to ask you, what about this idea of perfectionism, or this idea to become successful and high achiever? Yes, you did talk about that when it comes to certain culture that they might push for that, but would you like to expand on that?
Of course, of course. Perfectionism. We all want to achieve things in life. We want to get somewhere. We don't want to remain stuck in one thing. But at some point, we have that pressure of being perfect, of being doing things even much better than you think. So sometimes you do things and really people appreciate you, but because you really have that sense of perfectionism, you don't even give it a credit. That if someone says well done, you don't see it like it's a really well done. You don't see it like it's a sincere well done. You don't appreciate, because you don't appreciate yourself. I think at some point we don't even appreciate others because we don't believe that what they are telling us is really true. For example, if I did something, but maybe I wanted to achieve 100% and I achieved, let's say, 80%, and someone maybe thinks, wow, this is really a great achievement, but because I haven't reached what I wanted, and you feel like, oh no, this is not good enough because of perfectionism. I think again it brings some um, sort of stress in us because we want to be perfect. We don't want mistakes. We don't want to get lower. I mean, somewhere like we don't think that we should be. Of course, it's a good spirit, but I think recognizing that we have achieved that and appreciate that thing that we have achieved, and also recognize that people see what we have done, what we have achieved, and actually congratulating us. I think we should embrace that. Thank you, that well done, because we have achieved something. But when we don't feel like we deserve even that thank you because we are angry, we're trying to beat ourselves up, we don't appreciate our achievements. Yeah, I think that's a way to summarize what
Thank you.
it's
I
about.
really like I like what you are saying, and this is also bringing me to when it comes to mental health. Where anytime we see someone who might struggle with what this idea of being perfect that might show up for the child, for example, I can use an example. If let's say if there was an adult, it could be a parent or somebody who has played a big role in the upbringing of a child. It could be a teacher or another role model who was very strict, who did not let the child fail, or who did not teach the child that it's okay to fail, that can definitely bring a lot of anxiety in adulthood because if you learned that it's not okay to fail, you are not going to try unless you know you're going to succeed. And we know
Mhm.
that most successful people who are able to achieve things, to get to certain goals, they try 100 things and they are able to succeed in 15 of them, right? If you are not able to try because of this anxiety, of this fear that you might not be achieved to the perfection, you are not going to try, period. And this is something that is usually taught in childhood. So for anybody who has probably been through this and who see themselves with this idea of the fear around trying something, it might have started from that. Definitely good positive self-talk therapy can help. Even knowing that you might have this can help. Or if there is a parent who is raising children who might hear this, the idea, yes, it's good to expect very good things from our children, but the way we communicate to them is very, very, very important, because you might mean something. They might not know the idea that you love them no matter what. They might always believe that unless they got this 100 on a test, they won't be good enough. And that's something that can definitely play a very negative impact in adulthood, in the fear of trying. And then usually you don't get far unless you are okay with trying new
That's
things.
very true. That's very, very
Mhm.
true. I think how we speak to our children, how we raise them, I believe every victim has a victim again. Maybe those
Right.
parents were told that
Yes.
when they were young, so they take the
Yes.
same transmitting
Yes.
that kind of pattern to their children, and probably the
Yeah.
children transmitting to the next generation.
Yes.
So
That's what I always, that's all. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I meant to say something that always come in my mind when I think about parents or anybody else who
okay.
play a big part in raising me. They did the best they could with the tools they have. We cannot really look at them in a blaming eye because you're sharing. They didn't know, right? They didn't know. They
Mhm.
gave us the best they knew how to do. Sorry,
And
that's
they
what I
gave us
wanted
what
to share.
they gave us
Yes,
what they had. Yeah,
exactly.
true. For example, smacking children.
Mhm.
Yeah, you find someone who has been maybe smacked as a young child. Maybe when they grow up, they think it is normal. But we
Yeah.
are in countries that don't allow. It's not the culture of smacking children. But you find someone, no, it doesn't matter. I was smacked and nothing happened to me. So you find someone who has verbally abused, also using the same kind of words to a child, and because that's what they know, that's what they saw, that's what they
Right.
had when they're children, they're still kids. So I think
Absolutely.
it goes from generation to generation. But again, it's possible to change our mindset, because I believe that culture changes, culture grows, culture is not static. So we can change certain things. If something bad happened to us when we were kids, it doesn't mean that we have to give those bad things to our children.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what I.
And I have a question. Who do you think is prone to this imposter syndrome? Who is likely to get it?
Well, from the little research that I've done, I think they say it is women,
Okay.
but I believe even men can be. I think it could be both, but I think maybe if we put it in a percentage, I would say maybe women have a higher percentage, again from the culture perspective, because some cultures put women in a certain place right when right when they're still young girls. They put them in a certain place, shaping them to be what the society want to see,
Mm,
preparing to be what the society want to see in a woman. So that woman will grow up knowing that this is what I'm expected of from my parents, from my society, and
right,
I cannot cross the line. You understand?
right.
I can't cross the line because this is how I was brought up as a woman, as a young girl. I cannot do A, B, C, D. These are limitations. So they see limitation. They can't see far beyond their limitations because that's what the culture, the society, their parents told them to be. So I would say a higher percentage would be on women, again, based on where they grew up from, again, based on the society. So yeah, but
I
again, it
agree.
doesn't limit this. Mm.
I agree. I agree. Same as you. I haven't really looked deep into this, but the idea that we can comment based on what we have experienced growing up, what we have seen, what we see here, I can see how women can develop more of imposter syndrome because this is the way we did give a brief definition to this, feeling like you're less than, feeling like you're a fraud, feeling like you're not capable. And is a lot of culture do place women in an area where delicate area, you can only do certain things. And if we look at them, because yes, they do, cultures place women in certain, give them certain characteristics they have to abide from, but men do get the same thing. But the difference between women and men, what men are told, it's something very empowering, right? You
Yeah.
are strong, you can speak up, you can show up. The way your physical appearance has nothing to do with you as long as you work hard. So we can see
Mhm.
how the culture can really play a role into contributing to this idea of feeling less than. Let's say if you are a woman who doesn't necessarily feel in that category, you might have that idea. Let's say if I'm a woman who go to work, who doesn't necessarily do those things that were known as the woman things, cooking every day, washing every day, staying, doing the homemaker. And then you sometimes can see yourself like maybe I'm not good enough because I haven't confirmed to what these things that I have been told a woman should be. And so I think this is very important to point out as we are saying that more than likely women are more prone to get this because we did talk about the past experiences really do shape what happens later on. And I could see how men are being told that it's okay, you can be out there, you're strong, you can achieve, while women are being told that, let the men take care of it, you just do the delicate things. That's what I think.
That's very good that you actually mentioned how we men are empowered right from childhood,
Right.
being told that our family is looking up to you. You are all, the society is looking up to you. You can be anything. You can do wonders. We also want to hear that. Young children, I mean, female children also want to hear that because they can also do that. But that limitation that we put or people put in women, in girls, right from a young age, really can cause all this. Even talk about even for example, body shape. I never see
Oh,
any
yes.
man wondering, thinking much about their body shape, whether they have gained weight, whether they have lost weight, whether they, but you find a woman, it is like, oh, you've gained so much weight these days, or you've lost so much weight. So you find that kind of, self-image is so important, and it's not only you looking at yourself, but the society behind you, and whatever you're doing is not because of you, it's because the way the society want to see you, you know all that stress that is put on women because we want to please some people, because that's how the society has, you know,
Yeah,
taken us in a way that we don't feel like good enough, and that even if we're trying to be good enough, it's because someone should see us in that way, not because really we want to look that way, but because someone should see that, that beautiful hair on you. You didn't
right.
wear the hair.
Absolutely. I
You
really like that. I like these examples you are giving, and I'm actually having, I have a lot to say on this idea on expectation of the body image shapes and how a person should look like. Because if there is something that could contribute to a person having to, if there is something that can magnify this imposter syndrome, I believe is how people perceive you, right? When you walk, let's say you're about to to give this a big presentation, you sitting in front of a big audience. Usually, the way people look at you, perceive you, can definitely, if you are not strong enough in who you are, if you haven't really managed to overcome those anxiety thoughts that are not really accurate, you might find yourself into really believing in this imposter syndrome. So part of it could be the image of a woman, for example. We can use an example of hair. So because we grew up, it's largely around the world. Let's face it, hair is $1 billion industry for a reason. So the idea that women should have, for example, long hair, if a woman grow up believing that that's what shapes a woman, that's something that can really be affected in when there is, when the hair is no longer there, or if they choose to, if they don't like long hair, period, right? Because of how the society will perceive a woman with short hair or no hair. And
Mhm.
when it comes to men, let's flip this. We do see men who choose to wear their hair long, and it's a lot of them, right? Dreadlocks, very long, and even just growing their hair very long. And you don't see this as, oh, wow, that's what's going on. But if a woman walk into a room, for example, with my hair, such as myself, definitely that's something likely to raise a certain perspective on how people will receive that person. People will start asking questions. Are you okay? Are you sick? Do you have an illness? Do you have a disease? Meanwhile, we were all created differently. We all have, some people have long hair, some people have short hair, and some people are shaped in, some people are tall, some people are short. That's something that really God has really chose to create each individual in a unique way that might not necessarily fit into that basket where these what we are being told the woman should look like might necessarily reflect. If a person with that situation, either having a dark skin or light skin, being tall or being short, if it's not necessarily fitting to what's being told as being acceptable or liked, that could be really something that can affect someone's self-esteem, therefore even contributing to aggravating imposter syndrome. So it's very, very important to pay attention to that, because that can play an important role into adding to that.
Yeah, I read recently someone posted something on their Facebook wall, and actually it is a lady that I admire, Sandra Idusu.
Mm-hmm.
She interviewed someone. An applicant. There was an applicant in her company, and it was a woman. So she came for an interview, and she was wearing a wig. So she got a job, and next day she came to work. She didn't wear the wig. This was like, you look different. What were you wearing last time? It was a wig. Now she has her natural hair, but she didn't feel confident. She didn't even think she could get that job with her natural hair because she didn't believe in it, probably. But now she has a job. She has the courage to go with her natural hair, but on an interview, she thought she wouldn't be accepted. So that acceptance that we want, um,
That's a very good
by
example you just gave. Very good
yeah,
example.
I like that post really. I always
Right.
admire
I
things like
love
that.
that so much. I can definitely speak a lot on that, obviously. But I really think that there is a lot of things that can play part in that. Anytime I see a person in that situation, that woman who chose to go wearing a wig to an interview it might have been two reasons. Either she
Yeah.
might not be confident enough yet. She might not have accepted herself yet because of how she's normally perceived, because of personally how she's been told beauty looks like. That's one way. Another way, it could be someone who's very smart, who know that she's with a society, she's doing something very important to her, which is a job, and usually first impression play a big part in job. That's why we are told to wear a suit when we go for interview. That's why we are told to say or not say certain things. It's a big thing how to really it's a big thing in how to prepare people to go for interview. It might be two reasons. Either you're dealing with you're dealing with a group that is not ready, therefore likely to put your job in jeopardy. Why are you or willing to really do something you are likely not to do well because of how you present yourself, versus are you doing this really because you still shy about yourself? But someone else might argue differently. Someone else might say, you know what, let her go to 100 interview looking the way she looks. Or she might, just like myself, I like to change it up. One day will wear a wig, sometimes I do, even if I personally I don't have a lot of hair, but if I had a lot of hair, I know I would change it up, short and long. But the idea to compare what's happening with wig, I can compare it with something else. There are some people who believe if they are in a certain society, and if they don't have the name, if they're gonna show a certain name, they are not likely to be called, because there's a lot of things that play impact. But again, someone else might tell you, I have this name very difficult to pronounce in this community, but still I kept trying. I didn't get a call until on 100th time. But the truth of the matter, if the name was to what the people are comfortable with, she or he might have been called
Yeah.
early on. So there is a lot of things that play an impact. Some people choose the hard way, some people choose the easy
Yeah.
way.
You
But I'm
you just
always
touched on
concerned about the mental health. Go ahead. I'm always concerned about the mental health of the person who is in that situation. Have you accepted yourself? Are you doing this because you're being smart, or you doing this because you still feel like less than? So,
yeah.
so
So
you.
self-acceptance again is very, very important. You've just
Mm-hmm,
touched something because I think I'm one of the people that have the longest names. Their surnames.
mm-hmm,
Wanyirikira. So,
mm-hmm,
and I remember my name being very hard to pronounce, and
mm-hmm.
someone advising me, you've got to change your name and get something, a shorter name, like, I'm like, me? I'll never change my name because it says a lot about me. I know what it means. It was given by someone very special to me. How do I change my name? I said, these people have to cope. They have to learn how to pronounce my name, and they have to know that someone has this name. I would never change my name for anyone.
That's a
So
very good example. Very good
I
example.
know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing, when we know our identity, when we know, we appreciate who we are, what we have. We don't want to change for other people. We just have to be ourselves and be real and authentic. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Thank you.
However, yeah, yeah,
You
continue.
just shared a very good example, but it's not what you are saying. But I also don't want us to keep going without talking about how people are different, right? Some people, for different reasons, some people might not be ready to really put themselves out there in terms of, let's say we're talking about short hair and long hair. And if they are comfortable staying in that state where they need to conform to what's acceptable, as long as they are not doing anything harmful to them, I'm okay with that. If a person, I know a family that they chose to use the first name of a father giving to their children because it's very similar to how the last name looks like in a society because of avoiding things like that. I'm not, each person is different, and as people work toward their journey, was really it's a huge thing around the world. What we're talking about is very big, and we are raising the awareness. I think it's good that we talk about it. But again, some people are ready, some other people are not. I'm ready to present here without my wig with short hair. Someone else might not be ready. You are ready to say, I'm keeping my name, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Someone else might not be ready. Maybe we can inspire people. Look where we are right now. We are on Inspire to really learn to, as long as they're not putting themselves in a harmful situation, that it can be
True.
done
It
without,
can
we're
be,
not
yeah.
blaming them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The key point here is self acceptance.
Right. Oh, very good. It's a good one.
Yeah. hmm
It's very good
Yeah.
and it's very powerful. There is a lot of things people, when a mental health perspective, when you love yourself, when you accept yourself, it's palpable. People around you feel it. People don't even
hmm
notice those insecurities you might have. There is something very strong about how you see yourself, how you love yourself, how you overcome that imposter syndrome. You walk on that stage, you believe you belong there. People will listen to you because everything shows up in your energy, how you talk, your confidence is very attractive. That's how I feel. So
hmm
I wanted to point out that.
Yeah. Very important. Yeah. And
So
what else?
we I think this is very important to really that we shared some of these example, but now we can talk about how to overcome this.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Very important that we see how to come out of this. Yeah, I think how to overcome this is again, like I just mentioned, is to question those negative thoughts. Where are they coming from? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? Is this truly me? Yeah. So I think we have questions and answers. Question it, challenge that thought. I think it's one thing that we should um, be doing when those thoughts come, because they come so often, depending on the situation, depending on the reason why they are coming. But I think it's very important that we challenge them and question them what they are here for.
I really
Yeah.
I love what you said because again, when you say something, we need to challenge our thoughts. And I'm smiling because you're talking about something we use a lot when it comes to in therapy, when it comes to mental health. This is something used for dealing with anxiety, for dealing with depression. The cognitive behavior therapy is around restructuring your thoughts. Is around first you learn to identify your thoughts, because you usually find yourself in the behavior that has to do with imposter syndrome. You had a big meeting, you cancel. You don't even know why you canceled. But once you start to learn about how you got there, then you're going to learn, is that thought in you that, lied to you, saying you're not capable. They really, they called you here because they want to see you fail, right? Those are negative thoughts that might pop in your head. And then you start,
Yeah.
when we teach people during therapy, we do say you need to learn to find those thoughts and start challenging them. What do you know for sure? What makes you believe this is how they're looking at it? And usually they do come from the core belief, how we grew up, how if we talked about it when we started this conversation. If you grew up knowing that you're less than, you are likely to go into these thoughts, to believe those thoughts. We cannot control thoughts that pop in our heads, but we can control how we react to them. So if a thought
Yes.
says to you, you're not going to be capable, you then challenge it. Like, look at how many meetings you've been to and managed to do well. Look how many, like, thinking about Oprah, you are a millionaire. You've done this thing very well on a very high level. I don't know why I had to mention she's a millionaire, but I guess the money reflects on her ability. But
Yeah,
I think billionaire now, but that thing is very real. Those thoughts that pop in, they're very real, even when faced with things that tell you otherwise. But the way you are saying restructuring your thoughts, that's what we would tell people to do. Like, use the evidence you have that challenge that thought otherwise. But the key I can say to people, usually most of the time, people don't even know how to identify their thoughts. They find themselves in feelings or behavior, but they don't know where that came from. But it's an exercise that can happen. You start learning about how did I get here? Yeah,
I think sometimes the people concentrate on their mistakes, on things that didn't go well,
exactly.
so they don't really embrace that little success, and they take much time looking at things that didn't go well. So I think it's very important again to embrace the success and count our blessings. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I think sometimes there's certain very little things people could do. If you find yourself often, doubting your ability, maybe write them down, put them somewhere in a place when you get ready to prepare that meetings, that usually put you in that state of imposter syndrome. You're always going to remember, I've done hundreds of this and I've done well. Because those things we might see as a simple, they're so effective. You might just remind yourself in so many different ways. It could be just to write them down and just look at them every time that thought pop in your mind, or talk to
Yeah.
a friend, or just write it down. And sometimes you write something down, you come back, you read it again and be like, wow, I was just really thinking this way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very interesting topic, and I hope our viewers have really enjoyed it as much as we did. So
Yes,
yeah, I don't know if you have something else to add on before we wind our topic, our conversation tonight. It was really uplifting. I think I enjoyed it myself.
I enjoyed it as well. I think this is a great conversation. I see this as a starting point. We can really take this self-esteem or imposter syndrome, uh, so many different areas, but I think we touch on a lot of good aspects. In really, that's something we can bring back whenever needed. But really, it's all around how we see ourselves, how we can really reflect on what we have done. We can really think about, is this really, what do I know for sure, that is, am I really believing this? Because now there is a lot of resources really that can show us otherwise. If you are told that women, should do this, you should look this way, what about the evidence you have that, women could look or do these things? If you are told that you are not capable, I think it's all about really remembering and being okay with not being okay sometime. And also,
Yeah,
and if you are
it's
not
okay not to know.
there, right, and
Mhm,
if you are not there yet, and it's also okay, and it's a good thing that you are open to these conversations. Yeah.
mhm.
Anything you would like to
Yeah,
add?
interesting, interesting. I think what I can say is that we are capable. We have all the tools that we need to make things happen, to make changes, because it all starts within us, and we have the power to transform ourselves, our mindset, to change our society, to be good role models to others. We are able to change those negative thoughts into positive ones, because it
Absolutely.
all starts from us. So it's very important that we understand ourselves and know if that thought is coming and it's not a positive one, just challenge it, because it's going to take you backward, and we don't want to go back. Yeah, we don't want to be whatever those thoughts want us to be. We can challenge them and move on, and we have all we need within us. Just look around yourself, look within yourself.
Absolutely.
We have the power. However, it's a journey. If it is happening to you, don't think you are the first. You have all faced it, maybe facing it, but how we deal with it, it's what makes us different. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good.
Very good. So thank you so much, Bedette, for
Thank
your
you.
time. Yeah.
Always a
So
pleasure. Can't wait for next time.
yeah, let's let's see, let's hope that our viewers are really enjoying this conversation.
Okay.
And to the new viewers again, if you feel inspired, do share to others also to get inspired. And again, we need your support, which is a subscription. If you haven't, please do. That would be amazing. So it was me, Emelsa, and Bedet. Hope you